All right, guys, we are at time, and I believe we have the majority of participants already here with us. Uh, so, without any further delay, let me introduce you to your next speaker, who is going to deliver a session on careers in finance. His name is Mr. Amogh Agarwal. He is currently a manager, FX and derivative sales. FX is foreign exchange at ICICI Bank. He's a certified financial risk manager as well as a chartered financial analyst. And after completing his undergraduate education in economics and finance from Indian School of Business and Finance, that is ISBF, and which is where you are currently, virtually, of course, he joined XLRI and pursued a Master's of Business Administration degree. And he's currently, like I mentioned, working with ICICI Bank. He's providing his clients with solutions to mitigate trade and capital exposures arising from daily operations, as well as acting as a ranger or an investor for capital market borrowing requirements for corporates. He's also helping in providing hedging solutions for external commercial borrowings, ECB, or foreign currency term. And I would now like to invite Mr. Amogh Agarwal to please set the stage and take it away from here. Thank you, Amogh.
Thank you, Siddharth, for that lovely introduction. Let me first say I would like to thank Siddharth and Chirag sir for the wonderful opportunity that they have given me, and establishing such a wonderful platform wherein we can have such interactive discussions. I was listening to the previous interaction with Mr. Sun, and it was such a lovely discussion. So I would like to take this on forward. And as Siddharth set the stage, that it's just a session on what a life in career in finance is all about. And I like to set the stage by just saying that finance is such a broad spectrum, and it has so many different avenues in which an individual can go, a professional can go, and areas in which you can make your career in areas which are not yet available and are evolving as we move forward. There are some wonderful things happening in the fintech space and debt capital market space, that it is an exciting time to be in finance. So I will set this in terms of explore you know pointing out a few major areas in which finance, which we typically know, some few which you might not have heard of but are prevalent in the market. And other than that, I'll take you through some career advices, what is happening in the space, where are we seeing finance space moving ahead. And I believe you guys do have unmuting, right? So you guys can go ahead, unmute yourself, and ask any questions that you might have, and let's keep this an interactive session. And I think I should ask Siddharth, is my voice audible? Any issues with that?
Absolutely, Amogh. You are
Sure.
crystal clear in your voice. Also, students have unmuting rights.
Sure. So I'll just share my screen and share the PPT that we have prepared for this, and I'll just take it forward. Yeah. So I'll just. So starting off, as Siddharth had introduced I am a senior management at ICICI Bank. I have a BSc Economics degree from University of London, and through ISBF only. And then I did my MBA in Finance from XLRI Jampur. I'm a FRM charter holder and a CFA Level 3 candidate. I am a treasury dealer in ICICI Bank since 2018, and also a mentor at Lighthouse Project. It's an NGO working with school kids from underprivileged backgrounds. So the majority of the session that I like to focus is on this particular area, wherein I will talk about the various domains that are there in finance, and highlight what kind of work they do and who are the major players in that space, and where are we seeing them going. So I'll just start off with investment banking. So it is top of the hierarchy in terms of you do cutting edge finance work over here. And this is basically when a company is looking to raise funds, is looking to do IPOs, or is it looking to do some acquisition. So they need bankers who can them at what price. The basic question that you can boil down investment banking to is, at what price should the transaction be done? At what price should I do my IPO? At what price should I acquire the new company or do a stake sale or whatever it is? So a few companies, a few names who are working in this space are vendors, advisors, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase, all the foreign banks that you can think of are in this space. So that is one. You have equity research. So equity research, we have a booming equity space wherein every year we see even higher participation in the equity market, a lot of new investors coming into the market. So it creates for a huge opportunity, because a lot of new investors who are coming into the space may not know what to look for, where to invest, what all companies are there, what are good companies, what are good ratios to look at. So equity research becomes a pivotal point and a pivotal source of information for such investors. And you have a lot of players in that space. You have Motilal Oswal, Kotak Securities, ICICI Securities. Any fund house typically has equity research reports coming out. They do have information sessions and earning calls, reviews. So a lot of good information comes out of these places, which is very useful for investors, and is a space where is evolution every 2 years, every 3 years in terms of what new can be done, and it's an exciting space to be in. Treasury. So treasury, in a true sense, is basically, it consists of two, three things. So one primarily is you have companies who do imports and exports. So if you do imports and exports, you need foreign currency to make those transactions. Now, foreign currency is not freely available. We as retail investors can, let's say, go to a foreign exchange dealer and get those currencies. But when you're dealing with corporates, they are dealing in multi-million of dollars or euros or GBPs, so they need foreign exchange. So that is where banks come into picture, wherein they are the primary sources of dealings for these corporates. So anything to do with foreign currency comes under treasury. Then you also have borrowings. So a classic case would be a bank pan looking to do, or an IFC or a World Bank looking to invest money in a clean initiative in India. So they are giving dollar loans to a corporate. So you need to hedge that risk. So how do you hedge that? How do you hedge your currency risk? How do you hedge your interest rate risk? So all of those comes into treasury. Then also you have your capital market exposure. So if you want to raise commercial paper, you want to raise non-convertible debt, then you can actually look at reach out to banks as to how this works. What is the rate going on in the market? What tenor, whether it is a primary issuance or a secondary issuance. So all of those things come into treasury. So treasury will be from a bank side. The flip side of would it be corporate finance. So any corporate who has import exports or the day-to-day finance dealings of a corporate comes under corporate finance. So any firm, whether it is FMCG, tech space, manufacturing, any space, you will have people working in corporate finance. And if there is a import-export angle to it, then you will have foreign exchange dealings. Other than that, they are there to do the P&L, cash flows, and how what rate to borrow, all of those things. So the entire finance part of it for a corporate will come under the corporate finance side, including treasury for the corporates. Now, banking, as we know, so they are the primary sources or primary lenders in the economy, and they play a pivotal role as to how credit is flown in the economy. So you guys are already aware of all the banks that are there in the space, and it is one of the biggest employers in the finance space. And there is a lot of good learnings and career opportunities that you can have. Structured finance, so it's a niche market, but any kind of, and it's similar to, let's say, investment banking, but over here you can have dealings in mezzanine space, or how to structure a bond into a, a type A issuance, or a series B issuance, series C issuance. So wherever you're looking at products which are not vanilla and available in the market, and you need some structuring to do in it, which basically means you are trying to add some kind of layers to it, or some kind of some attaching some products to it, or having some conditions to it. That is structured finance. And then you have SBI Capital, Phillips Capital, these players who are looking into it. Now, the next one that we will think of is mutual funds. So, mutual funds as a primary concept basically talks about that we as investors might not have the best knowledge of the market. We might not be best connected in the market. We might not know which equities to deal in, which debt instruments to buy, when to sell, which space to be in. Should I go for large cap, mid cap, small cap? Should I be in the tech space? Should I be let's say doing uh, dealings directly with the broker houses, or should I invest directly in equity? So mutual funds do give a very important service in the community, which is basically they say we have a fund manager who is very well versed in the market, and he will invest your money. So the way he will invest your money is, let's say there are 100 people who have the characteristic that they are not aware of the market, but they would like some exposure to the equity market. So they will give their money to the mutual fund house, and the mutual fund house will then invest the money on investors behalf in the market. So you are basically giving your money to a third party, and they are investing it on behalf. They charge you a management fees for it, and in some cases they even might charge you a profit in a share in the profit, depending on how the mutual fund is structured. But given the rise in equity participation in the country, mutual funds is an attractive space to be in, and something which will see a huge boom in the next 5 years. The next one is hedge funds. So the difference between, let's say, a mutual fund and a hedge fund is, mutual funds, because it is retail investors, it's very regulated by the regulator. So you have regulators who will put limitations on how much you can invest where. So there was a recent circular which basically said that if you are a multi-cap fund, you have to invest at least 25% of your money in large cap, mid cap, and small cap. So it is very regulated space, because it is, at the end of the day, retail investors money. So you have a lot of regulations in that space. Hedge funds, basically, it's a more risky, more gain kind of a situation, wherein there are hedge fund managers who will say ki, I will invest the money as I see fit, and I will give you a return which is over and above the market, but there is a huge risk involved to it. So mutual funds and hedge funds are the same thing. They are basically, you're giving your money to a third person who is investing the money for you, but the idea is that they will play in different spaces. They will have different regulations attached to it. The minimum entry amount might be different. So for a typical mutual fund, the minimum investment amount is, let's say, $500, but for a hedge fund it could be 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 50 lakhs, depending on what the mandate of the hedge fund is, right? Another thing that we are seeing in the finance space, which is evolving as the middle class is evolving, and as the as your individuals are getting into corporate jobs, is the space of wealth management, which basically is the space wherein an individual is helping you understand how to invest your money. It is over and beyond as to if you should do equity investment. It's about how to take best advantages of your tax regulations, how to save maximum tax, and how to get the maximum return, what kind of let's say career goals you have. If you have a goal that you want to do an education in, let's say, 3 years, and you need some good money for that, does anyone have any question? I think someone has unmuted themselves. Hello.
तो मेरे को तो लंच मना ही कर दिया.
Manvi, could you please mute yourself if you don't have a question? I would really appreciate, guys, please ensure that you are not disturbing the session in any ways. Amogh, sorry for that. Please continue.
No worries, no worries. I just wanted to check if anyone has any questions. Yeah. So as I was saying, so wealth management is a area which is picking up as the middle class is booming, and we have a lot more people in the financial space where they have the bandwidth to have some savings, and then they would want some good solution as to their particular requirements, whether it is that I have, there's a wedding in the family, we need to, which has a 3-year period and 3-year outlook. So I need money which is relatively available to me in that space. Or let's say I want to buy a house, like let's say 20 years from now. So where do I invest? When should I take out my money? Should I keep it in equity? Should I keep it in debt? Where do? So the way it will differ from a mutual fund is, mutual fund house, let's say large cap mutual fund is there. So let's take any name. So let's say SBI large cap fund is there. So SBI large cap fund is basically saying that, give me your money, I will invest it in large cap space, and I will, ensure that I do not go out of my mandate, which is the large cap space. Now that differs from wealth management in a way that a wealth manager for you will try to take a holistic approach as to what your portfolio is. So let's say I am an individual who has to, let's say, buy a house in the next 5 years, and I would like to, have some money set aside by then. So should I take my whole portfolio should be equity? What percentage should it be debt? How should I invest in my, let's say, ELSS, which is an equity linked savings scheme? What is ATC? Should I go for national pension scheme? So he will have a holistic approach as to, where you should put your money, how you should invest your money to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. And mutual funds will become a part of it, right? Now the next would be an auditor risk management. So as long as there is corporates in the world, and as long as there are regulators in the world, there will be a need for audit, and there would be a need for risk management, because people would like to know that, even regulators, you would like to know as to how, company is doing, and whether the numbers that they are showing are correct or not. And we have seen scams like Satyam and all of those things, wherein the need for audit has come into place. So, a classic case of you being an equity investor. So let's say you want to invest in a company like HUL. Now a company like HUL can give you any numbers that they want if there is no auditor. The role of the auditor is to ensure within reasonableness that the numbers that the company is providing is correct. And because that is their job, any number that you see from a stat auditor, which is a statutory auditor, it brings credibility to what the company is doing. So it lends to a credible information which we need in this world, when you can't go and check HUL books. So how do you check that? So auditor is the person who comes in. Now risk management in a way is basically, I work in ICICI Bank, right? So ICICI Bank, how much position should a dealer be running? How much money should I keep liquid with me, and how much should I park in, let's say, some interest bearing instrument? So if you guys are aware of any economics concept, there is a concept called run on the bank, which basically means that for every 100 rupees you have to, a person invests with you or gives deposits with you, you have to keep a certain portion as liquid. The rest of the money you can give out as loans. Now let's say the number is 10. Let's take a random number, the number is 10. So for every 100 rupees of deposit that comes with you, with the bank, ICICI Bank, so ICICI Bank has to maintain 10 rupees in liquidity to ensure that any person who comes and wants his money back can take the money. Now the rest 90 rupees he can give out as loans, which is an interest bearing instrument for the bank. Now let's say at any point in time, if any individual comes and he needs to withdraw more than 10 bucks, then you don't have the money to give to the person, and that will lead to a default by the bank. So what kind of risk are you willing to run? What percentage of the money you should keep in what kind of instruments? What is the probability of a person defaulting? How many people can default? So all of these things come into risk management, and that's also a very nice space to be in, because as we are maturing as an economy, as we are maturing in terms of the products that we can do, the new people they are coming in, it leaves a lot of space for people to take advantage. And corporates and individuals being open to risk. So this is a good space which has potential, given the kind of regulations and opportunities that we are seeing in the market. Last that I have highlighted, and there are still a lot of domains that can be added, and I'll talk about one or two more. So the last that I have written over here is insurance. So insurance as a product, we are very well aware of. It's basically you are you are taking a claim on yourself that let's talk about a simple car insurance. So car insurance is like my let's say my car is worth 10 lakh. If it goes into an accident, it will be a 2 lakh cost that you will have to bear. So I don't want to bear an upfront 2 lakh cost, because that's a very huge outlay for you. So what an insurance provider gives you is, okay, so let's say any car insurance, or let's say the average amount comes out to 14k 15k. So every year you give me 15k, and let's say you have a cover of up to 5 lakhs, so you give me 15k every year for let's say 10 years or whatever. And if you have a genuine case of car accident wherein the expense is less than 5 lakhs, then the insurance provider will reimburse you for that. So basically what you're trying to do with the product is you're trying to see that if an accident happens, it's a one time huge outflow for me. So instead of having it as a one time huge outflow, you're trying to take an insurance against it, wherein you're paying a premium. There's a small notional amount over the years to ensure that you don't have to look for the uh, one big payout. So you have car insurance, you have general insurance, you have life insurance. So a lot of players in this space who have developed some really nice products, medical insurance, which have gone, which have taken through the roof. One new product which got introduced to me in the last couple of months only, which I realized for the first time, was when you work in a corporate, you have a basic medical expense insurance from your corporate. So let's say you have a 3 lakh cover from the corporate that you're working in. So there is a concept of a top up coverage, of a top up insurance, basically wherein the insurance provider will say that if let's say you have a one time expense of let's say 25 lakhs, wherein cancer, anything, any whatever, you have an expense of 25 lakhs, you are only covered up to 3 lakhs. So I will give you the money over and above the 3 lakhs. But the first 3 lakhs you have to recover from whatever your base policy insurer is, or whoever whether you bear the cost yourself or you have a base insurer. So that way, and their premiums are lower. So that way you can insure yourself against a large expense, which is something which is very nice and very relevant in the way our lives have evolved these days. Another space that has added in recent times is the fintech space, wherein we are seeing a lot of innovation in financial products. So whether it is Paytm, an Amazon Pay, or the UPI framework, wherein we have moved from a cash-based economy to a digital-based economy, and a lot of factors have played into that. The two big factors that you can think of was the 1,000 rupee note ban that had happened, and plus the COVID pandemic that has happened. Both have led to a very dynamic and drastic shift towards digital payments and digital solutions. So it's a space which is continuously evolving, and who knows what all we see. And India has become a frontier in terms of developing and installing digital solutions as to payment solutions. So that has been fantastic to watch. Coming to requisite skills, qualifications, attitudes, I do feel if you want to make a career in finance, there is nothing stopping you. You can be an engineer, you can be commerce student, you can be a mass comm student, you can be a person who's a high school dropout if you have the acumen for it, and luck plays its factor, but you can make a career in finance and do extremely well for yourself. But there are some things which do help you along the way. So the degrees provided by iASPIRE, the economics and finance, BSc accounting and finance, all of these degrees have helped me, and I'll talk about my journey along the way and how it has helped me. You have CA, you have MBA. So all of these degrees are just way for you to get get that opportunity. I think someone has raised their hand, so I believe someone has a question, so they can go ahead and ask the question. I'm happy to.
Sorry, so my question was that all the qualifications here, especially the bachelor's ones, are all BSc. So if I'm doing a BA program for my undergraduation, does that reduce my chances to get a job in the financial sector, in finance?
No, see, a good question, and it doesn't matter what degree you have, right? If you have an acumen for it, if you get the right opportunities, and luck plays a factor everywhere. So I'm a big believer on luck being on your side, and sometimes you just need a good stroke of luck. Though BA degree, BSc degree, all of it is just something which might be more relevant. And if you, so you see a lot of engineers who have gone to, IITs and ITs, all of these engineers, even though they have done a 4-year engineering program, but recruiters come to engineering colleges to hire for finance roles, right? So it doesn't matter what kind of role, what kind of degree you're doing. Is just you have to find a way to get the right opportunities presented to you, right? So if you have the degree, you might get, let's say, 1 or 2 opportunities more. If you not, you might have to struggle a bit, you might have to find connections, but that also is a nice that struggle is something that I have enjoyed in my career, and I have learned from it as to how to approach people, what to do, what not to do, how to get that job opportunity, how to prepare for. And I'll talk about something, the Microsoft Excel and IIT program that I have highlighted here. I'll talk about it, something which I never thought would evolve into the kind of career opportunity it has given me. But so do not think of anything that this degree cannot lead me to a career in finance. It's just you might have to work for it, you might have to go door to door, try to get that opportunity that you want. And I think that is something, has a it gives you pleasure of your own when you can say that I worked for it, I got it, and now I'm here.
Yeah.
Someone else had raised their hand.
Yeah, sir. I had a question. So, apart from the academic aspect of it, about like what courses we can do and things like that, are there any extracurriculars that we can do, especially like as a high school student, that would like allow me to gain further skills and insights that would be really helpful in this field?
So there are things that you can do, and there are, I'll highlight. I'm not sure in terms of extracurriculars, what exactly do you have in mind? Well, just as a
I don't know. It could be anything in terms of for like a lot of different things, leadership is an important skill to have. But those are more interpersonal skills, or like specific internships, or I don't know, like different aspects.
So understood. So let me say, so let me just complete this slide, and I'll come back to your question, and I'll try to encapsulate everything. So these are the basic questions that I have highlighted, which can give you boost in your career in terms of getting the right jobs or getting the right opportunities, getting the right job interviews. Preferred will be a CFA and FRM. So these are certifications which are US-based certifications, which if you do, they only build to your CV. So at the end of the day, first of all, it is important for you to figure out what is the area that you enjoy, right? If you enjoy finance, then also there is such a vast scope of courses that you can do, vast areas in which you can build your career. Then, if let's say you have to go into equity research, then a course like CFA is very well structured to give you information on that, right? You being high school students, you might not be eligible for this, but it is something that you can keep in mind as to what all is there. If you want to go into risk management, FRM is the place to be. If you want to go into wealth management, there is a CFP program, certain financial planner program, which is there. So all of those things do help you understand what the requirement of the job is. It is important that you know what you're getting into, and what people might expect you to know, and these programs are helpful in that way. Now, skills, attitude, it's a very gray area. I don't think anything fits the bill here, but you do need to have a penchant for numbers. You do need to have a penchant for doing some analysis, because a lot of your work will involve numbers one way or the other, right? So you need to be comfortable with how to approach numbers, how to extract information out of numbers. Big data in finance is also something which is evolving, and people are still figuring out how to use them here. We have seen some good applications of big data in consumer behavior and how to extract information. It is still an evolving space in the MBA sphere, in the finance sphere, but there is still a lot of things. One big thing that you really need to be comfortable, if you want to have a smooth career in finance, I will say Microsoft Excel is something that you need to be really comfortable, right? And I'll just take 2 minutes more, and then I believe there are a couple of students who have raised their hands, and I'll leave the floor for them. So Microsoft Excel, I did an NIT program, which was a 2-month program, very specific, very small fee, but it introduced me to concepts of VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, how to do index, and those are the things that have actually, they helped me land my first job. My first job helped me land my MBA, and my MBA helped me land my current role. And I'm still using Excel to this day. And I come across people in my daily life who struggle with the basic formulas in Excel, right? And it is something which is very easy to rectify. And so an IT program, because it's something that I did, I know of this. There are plenty of programs out there, but I do feel it's a small, I believe 5K, 6K when I did it, that was like 7 years back. So you can go ahead and do a program in Excel which will give you that basic knowledge, and then you can keep building on it, right? But I do feel ki Microsoft Excel, and if you want to be successful in career and be successful in your career, you need to learn Microsoft Word and Microsoft PPT. There's no getting around to it. No matter what career you go in, Microsoft Word, Microsoft PPT is going to be with you, right? And as Manya asked, what skills? See, interpersonal skills are always required, no matter where you go. Leaderships are required, no matter where you go. But these are skills that you might not. There's nothing that I can suggest you that you do to evolve, build them. It is something that comes to individuals either early in career, or they have to do things. They go work out they handle teams for the first time. They are not good managers, but they learn on the job. So you have to be open to being learning on the job. If you are open to learning on the job, then you can handle anything, everything, right? So I'll leave the floor for people who have raised their hands, and I'll take questions one by one. So if anyone, we have 2-3 people. So let's start by Varanya.
So I was just asking, for the Microsoft Excel, do you think it's important to do a program in it, or is it enough on your own? And also, if just a small follow-up, if you do, because there may be like additions to Excel, because there's always additions to different technological things. So do you think it would help to do it slightly later on, or as early as you can be comfortable with?
So a good question. I will say, if you're a person who can find out yourself what to learn, and you can learn it yourself, there is no reason why you should go out and pay money. But for me, I was not aware as to what to learn, what to look for, what to, and I did, and I'm being very honest here, I did the Microsoft Excel course just because I could not get an internship in my gap between my second year and my third year. So I was like, I'm going to do something productive, and I went and did a Microsoft Excel course and a C++ course, just because I wanted to do it. And I'm realizing it in my career how useful it has been. So if you can go do it yourself, no one is stopping you. But if you want to know what to do, what to learn, what could become useful, and just have a starting guide, because the program I did at NIT, it really helped me get the basics, because the job I landed post my undergrad, and specifically asked me to do Excel formulas, because that was the need of the job. And I learned everything else on the job. So the program taught me like a basic VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, match function, index function, then a lot of other things, formatting and all of those things that you do need to know how to do value pasting. So it's totally up to you. If you can find the resources online which help you do it, good for you. If you want, so just an example, an IIT is a program that you can go ahead and do it. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries. Mani, did I answer your question, or any portion of it you want me to?
No, yeah, no.
Yeah, sure.
I think Amogh, we can take questions from Alia and Avnish as well.
Yeah. Alia, if you can, let me know your question.
Yes. So at a high school level, like I want to do either a BBA or a Bachelor of Science in Economics and Finance. So for that, at the high school level, if getting a summer course, like an online course at EDX or platforms like that, will that help me to get into college? If you have an idea upon that matter.
See, as far as the Indian education system goes, and this is just a personal opinion, the college you get into has to do a lot with your, the acads, right? So you can always, so I understand. So apart from that, I think a lot of it for you guys right now is to do different courses and different things to understand where your interest lies in. Right, because if you have good acads, you will have a good opportunity. A lot of good opportunities which will be presented to you, and you will not know where to go. So this is the right time for you guys to do courses which are cheap, which are available on the internet, which are free to do, and they don't take a lot of your time to understand whether this is something that you want to do. Apart from that, if you have a specific interest in finance or a specific interest in economics, then you can do generic courses, which is like an introduction to economics, or macroeconomics, microeconomics separated out. So just to get an idea of what you are in for. So if you have the time, you should go ahead and do it. And you never know when something becomes useful to you. You might just enter into an economics an undergrad and economics interview, wherein the person can ask you basic economics questions, wherein just to see whether you are read up or anything, right? And because you have done that course or you have read it somewhere, you are able to answer questions, the interview gets impressed, and you get into the college of your dreams or whatever you're looking for. So if you have the time, if you have the resources, there's no harm in doing all of this, right? Yes. But you need to be wise about where you're allocating your time, is all I'm going to say. And because you have a lot of stress and there are a lot of things to do, so you just prioritize.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much.
Sure. Avnish, if you can go ahead with your question, please.
Right. So these certificate courses like CFA and FRM, should we do it alongside our bachelor's degrees, or is there no specific time frame?
So specific to CFA, I don't remember the FRM ka guidelines, but CFA ka guidelines very clearly state that. So CFA has 3 levels that you have to clear, right, to become a charter holder. So the CFA level 1 has a basic criteria of that you can only apply for CFA level 1, apply for the CFA level 1 exam if you are in your last year of undergrad, right? So they are restricting you as to when you can take it. But if you are interested and if you want to go ahead and read it, you can find e-copies of CFA books. One good prep resource for CFA has been Schwezer notes. So you can very easily get them online, get e-copies of them, and they are very good books. At least the level 1 books, they are like 5 or 6 books which cover the gamut of economics, finance, accounting, behavioral finance, ethics. So all of this, so even level 1 books are something, if you have time in your undergrad and if you're interested in a career in economics, finance, go ahead and take them and read it, even if they don't allow you for the exam, because they will give you a wealth of knowledge, and it will also help you understand how the things work. And economics, one last thing, economics as a course I did, and then I moved to finance and different areas of finance. But right now I'm in treasury, and even today, economics is the first thing that I have to apply in my day-to-day job. And I'll talk about my day-to-day job. I'll just take 2 more questions, I believe, and then I'll quickly try to finish up the PPT that I have. Advait, if you can go ahead with your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So I just wanted to ask about, a number of students have started doing internships before they go towards the undergrad, and probably they also do it while they're doing their undergrad course. So I just wanted to ask, which is the most appropriate stage towards where you can enroll in an internship with the company?
So see, the way I talk about this is your at the end, something I've not included in this, but I'll go back to my screen and I'll show you. At the end of the day, if you're trying to get into anywhere, you need to have a CV, right? Now you being, so I'm talking about when you complete your undergrad, think about what all do you have in your CV which you can present. Do you have a lot of extra curriculums that you can present? Do you have a CV which will fill up one page? And personally speaking, it's just my personal opinion, there is never a wrong time to do internships.
Right.
If you have the time to do it, if you're getting the opportunity to do it, if it's an area that you like or it's an area that you want to explore, go ahead and do the internship. 3 reasons. One, you will go like the job and decide that this is an area where you want to make a career in, because we can sit here and talk about what finance is, what economics is, what I do for a living, but when you are actually in the room and looking what is being done and how it's being done, what needs to be done, that you actually get a flavor of what the real world is. So any internship, you actually need to, if you can get the opportunity, if you have the time, go and do it, even if it's unpaid internship.
Right. So
because an internship, sure, go ahead.
I just have a quick follow-up question. So like when you want to apply to a qualification such as your BSc Economics and Finance, there would be a part called referred to as personal statement, saying that why do you want to do this course? So apart from your interest towards this course, what other contributing factors are there that would help you get into the course in which you would desire?
So again, so you need to, and then this becomes a more of a prep question, and I leave it to professional experts towards that. But my personal opinion on the matter is, anytime you can give them a personal anecdote in terms of you saw this and it helped you do that. An internship is a good way to go about it, or giving them a personal anecdote as to, let's say you're trying to apply for an economics program, and you are seeing how the prices of petrol are going up, and what are the factors which are contributing to it, which could be world oil demand, the taxes which are being regulated by the government. So those personal anecdotes, any relevant experience that you can share, that I have done an internship, I saw the world, I liked it, I want to pursue it further. So I think all of those things, apart from what all acads, extracurriculars, they actually help.
Right.
Yeah. Tushar, if you can.
Yeah, Mr. Amogh, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So basically, I was planning on doing an undergraduate BSc in accounting and finance, and then move on into the industry. Now, when I move on into the industry, I wanted to know the difference between the work of working in mutual funds or portfolio management. What is the main difference between them?
Between a mutual fund and a portfolio management?
Yeah, so someone who would manage mutual fund and someone who would manage a portfolio. So what are the skills that are required, and what's the difference? What's the main difference between them?
So see, mutual funds, managing mutual funds is different, and when you say portfolio management, it is a very broad statement that you have made, which I think needs more clarity. So I'll try to answer it like this. So I'm a mutual fund manager, right? So I'm responsible for, let's say, SBI large cap mutual fund. So I have to make the decision as to which large cap company I want to invest in. When do I want to invest in? So, and take any stock, it is trading at, let's say, whatever value. What is the stock that I remember the value of? Take up any stock. I don't have any numbers right now, but I believe Cheviot was trading at around $2,000. So let's say I, as a mutual fund manager, believe that that stock is in my mandated list, so I can invest in that stock. Now I need to decide as a fund manager as to what levels do I enter into that stock. Do I enter it at 2000 or do I enter it at 1800? Do I see any downside coming into the stock or the sector or the economy as a whole? Now if I want to enter at 1800, what is my exit value? How long do I want to keep it? There are tax implications of if you stay less than 1 year, more than 1 year. Should I take that into account? So all of those things will come into your decision as a mutual fund manager. How much money do I put in? I have like $100. Do I put all my $100 in that one stock? How do I diversify in that space? Should I make daily tweakings? Do I make weekly tweakings? How is my risk evolving in the space that I've done? So that is what a typical day might look like. Now, a portfolio.
Yeah,
Sure,
please
go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask. So, as a mutual fund manager, how do you identify these stocks? So, do you conduct primary research yourself into the market, or do you get a range of reports and then obviously you calculate?
You will do a mix of both. You will do your primary research. If you're a mutual fund house, you are doing equity research. You might not be selling that equity research outside, but you're doing it for yourself.
Right.
So you will do a mix of both primary and secondary research. You will see what your outlook on the sector is, and you will like to see how your peers are evaluating the same sector. If it is same, okay, well and good. If there is a differing opinion as to what is the person looking at differently than what I'm looking at.
So do
it
you
is
manage?
always,
Sorry.
So-
But like, do you manage both short term and long term? At the
so
same
I
time?
am not into the mutual fund space. I'm in the treasury space.
Okay.
As I said, yeah. So I am not looking at either large or so. I'm just trying to give you an example. But when you look at when you say a portfolio manager, any role that you enter into finance will be a portfolio manager. So I have a portfolio of 10, so will be now I have a portfolio of like 6 odd clients who I am responsible for. Right. So now portfolio management means I have a portfolio of 6 clients, then I am responsible for the job that I'm doing. So if I'm a treasury dealer and a sales dealer, then I'm responsible for their treasury requirements. I am their go-to person. So handling a portfolio in essence will mean that no matter what your role you're doing. So if you're doing corporate banking, you're doing it for a set of clients. If you're into treasury, you're doing it for that. If you are in insurance, you have retail investors, you have corporate investors. So your portfolio basically means that you have been assigned a definite set of customers, and it is your responsibility to handle them well, to take care of their needs, to make income out of them, keep them satisfied, make sure any questions that they might have is answered. So very simply, right now, right here, my portfolio is the group of students who have attended this session.
Right.
So
Okay.
portfolio manager becomes a very broad topic, and no matter if it's a sales role where you have to handle outside clients, you will always have a portfolio. It could be retail, it could be corporate, it could be any set of clients, any type of client.
Yeah.
So,
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. I think there was one more person who had raised their hands. Manya.
Yeah, I had another question.
Sure.
I have 2 questions. So one is more generalized. So specifically, in terms of investment banking, because that's something I'm interested in, how long would you say in that particular industry does it take to go from like a relatively entry-level job to a more significant position? And should I just ask both the questions together?
Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. So that, and I'm also sort of weighing between like entrepreneurship and then investment banking. So while all of the given qualifications or the things that I can pursue in university are good options for a career in finance, what would you say is a good mix that would allow me to be very diverse in terms of management and finance?
I lost you there for the last portion
I
of
said,
your question.
what course would you recommend, or like what qualifications in terms of entrepreneurship and investment banking could I do that like closely correlates the two and could be used in either?
So see, both of the questions have a very generalized answer from my side, and I'm sorry for that. But I'll say any job that you enter into, your career progression is dependent on how you perform. Right? So I understand it's a very generalized answer, but it's been true, and I've seen it all my short career that I've had. You can be the top person from the top university if you don't perform, versus a person who has no degree and is performing well. At some point in time, the person who's performing well will get the growth. Right? So you should look at 2 things. One, what all can you do to get into whatever you want to do, whether it is entrepreneurship, whether it is investment banking. Then once you have entered it, what is the best skill set that you need, and what is the best way for you to show contribution? Because at the end of the day, corporates, even entrepreneurship, you're there to contribute, you're there to deliver something. If you can deliver it, you are the king and queens of the world. If you can't, then you are just stuck in a rat race, right? So as far as what courses is relevant, I don't think I'm the right person for that, because that question will depend on what kind of entrepreneurship you want to do, what ideas do you have, what space do they lie in, what would be relevant to that. But I do feel any kind of on the job learning that you can get, so even if you're wanting to start up something of your own, if you can get into a company which delves in the same space, understand how the industry is working, how things get done in the space, it could be a 6 month, a year, 2 years, whatever time frame you think is relevant for you, and then do something or do parallelly. I think that's the best way, because it gives you an insight into the industry, company, sector that you're trying to create a niche for yourself. Sure. So I'll quickly try to finish up the PPT. So I just wanted to give you guys a taste as to what a day goes by. So Siddharth had already highlighted what I do as treasury dealer. So my typical day starts off with trying to read up what happened in the market during the day, because my role primarily deals with currency market. So right now the dollar rupee market is active from 10 to 3:30. So I have to be very up to date on what is happening in the market. Is there any news that is expected during the day which can change where the dollar rupee is trading? If you look at the last two sessions of dollar rupee has gone from 74 levels to 74.70 just because there is panic buying in the market, right? So it is all about taking a stock what has happened, keeping a constant touch with my clients to update them as to what is happening in the market, what levels are they interested in, tracking those levels, if they are looking to do anything, hedge anything, enter into any kind of derivative products, then I give them the pricing, I execute those trades, and having a general sense of the market. Because I have less time, I'll try to so I have a day in the life of an investment banker similar. It's basically you're trying to value companies. At the end of the day, it is about determining the price of whatever you're trying to value. So you have to determine a valuation, you have to prepare the financial statement, you have to analyze what are the transactions happening in the market in the similar space to understand where the valuation is, where you versus what you're doing. And you have to do pitch meeting with the clients. And it could be a very small subsection of the job, but it gives you an idea of how to go about it. Now, in terms of latest career trends, as I said, we are seeing a lot of evolution in the fintech space because of the cash to digital, based transaction push that we are seeing from the government and how the economy is evolving. There has been push from the RBI for evolution of debt capital markets as well. So, wherein they are saying that banks should not be the primary source of lenders. You should go and borrow in the commercial paper and NCD market. We are seeing a broad shift in the economy from wherein our elders used to be like, I'll put the money in FD and that is going to be my investment, versus I want to have an active participation in equity. So that is something which is seeing a huge shift. And also structured finance space is seeing some shift because of the unorthodox kind of financing that people are looking for, whether it is the startups which have to go for a Series A, Series B, Series C funding and all of that. So it's an exciting space to be in. One thing before I just finish off the session from my end and open to the Q&As, I'll just share, just give me a second. What I wanted to highlight to you guys was something, a CV, because it's something which has been very helpful to me. And I have seen what my CV was when I was in undergrad versus what my CV has evolved to. So I'll just showcase you guys my CV, and just to give you an idea of how much work goes into actually building a CV. So is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sure. So see, this is my one-page CV which I have prepared, and it is something I keep on continuously building, and it has not been updated in the past, let's say 7 or 8 months, because I would make a lot of changes in that. but this is the kind of CV which you have to have if you're looking. It's not like necessary, but it's an ideal place wherein you would like to have different things. So I like just highlight. So some things that you are proud of, or are highlights of your CV. So I'm a CFA level 3 candidate. I'm in ICICI Treasury Group. I'm a FRM charter holder. I'm a national finalist of a national level case competition. So all of these, your acads are there. Then you have your work ex, which is highlighted. What you do, how you do. Is there anything which stands out? Then you have your academic achievements, what all you have done, anything that you have worked on, and all of it comes during your career. So please don't stress about what you have right now. But I'm saying be conscious about how you're utilizing your time, and whatever you're doing, if it can add value to your CV, please be aware of it, because I've seen a lot of people who have done really interesting courses and have not added them into their CVs, right? Then I had summer internship which I did. I have held various positions of responsibility both at XLRI, at iASPIRE. I have included them. Any kind of life projects that you might have involved yourself in, and this will come over the course of your undergrad, of your MBA. So just be mindful of, if an opportunity comes for you to do something which is different from the space that your CV is currently built in, take that opportunity. Any extracurricular activities that you guys have. So all of these things do build up on your CV. And I remember the first time I built my CV was in ISBF second year. I'll just stop my share over here. So it was in second year wherein I could not complete one page of CV. I had to write everything in 2 lines, and still I was not able to get a one-page CV completely filled. And so I have made a conscious effort as to what all can I do. There was a time when my Microsoft Excel certification was also part of my CV, because at that point in time I didn't have anything. So even that was there. So be mindful of what all you're doing, how, if there is scope for it to be added to your CV, if it adds value to your CV, how you are presenting it, so all of that. So I'll take any questions that are there, and I think I don't have much time, but any questions that are there. Go ahead, Adwait.
So yes, sir. So you just recently talked about the booming opportunities fintech brings about in the coming ages, and we do know that the amalgamation of finance and technology is quite sought after. So what my question is that, obviously from the technological point of view, is computer programming something which you can always do on your own, or does it require additional assistance?
See, program language, if you know, it is always helpful, right? Now there are people who can learn it on their own. There are people who have to take courses for it. So if you can learn it on your own and you can showcase that, then well and good. If you think, I'm so sorry, if you think you need certifications for that, then go ahead and take certifications. So that is always there. So relevant courses or relevant languages in today's day and age will be Python, R, all of these languages. And trust me, I'm trying to learn Python because I have something that I want to build, and Python is something that I have to do, but I am not just able to find the time right now. So that is that. But if you're looking to go in that space, and like I said, Excel, so programming is like Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, Microsoft PPT. You never know how and when it will come useful to you. So if you have the time to learn, go ahead and learn.
So usually in your when you're doing your undergraduate degree, would it be a problem if you just reserve some time for doing an additional course of computer programming, or would the degree be very weighted and hectic?
So see, if you are working in India, and again, very personal opinion, your primary acads outweigh everything.
Right.
If you have primary acads, then any additional courses is useful and help and will give the opportunity. But if you don't have your primary acad sorted, then the kind of opportunities you will lose, you will not be able to make them up because of the extra courses that you have done. So if you're looking for a career, I will still suggest do all of those things, but maintain your focus on primary acads.
Right, sir. Right. Thank you.
Yeah. Avnish, if you can go ahead.
No, sir, I don't have any questions.
Sure, no worries. Anyone else has any question?
Hi, Sam, am I audible?
Yeah.
So could you just repeat the list of programming languages that you said would be helpful in the industry other than Python?
You can look at R, you can look at C++, but even if you know Python, I think that is relevant enough. And again, not an area wherein I am the right person to answer that question. It's just that I am looking to do something and I know Python is going to be useful to me. So I know Python are languages which are prevalent these days, but maybe not the right person to answer that question for you.
Okay.
All right, guys, if there are no further questions, we'll wait for another 10 seconds. If somebody has any questions, you can just raise your hand and Mr. Amogh will be very happy to answer them for you. Avnish, you have a question?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, please.
So, sir, which are the financial careers which focus less on accounting and more on economics and management, according to you?
See, every single finance job will have some portion of accounting, but treasury, the role that I am currently doing is not that focused on accounting, right? Because I am dealing in currency market, so I have to track what is happening because uh, an RBI policy meeting and any changes in the current reserve ratio or the policy rate or anything has a huge impact on how the currencies react. So economics plays a huge part in space like treasury, and accounting is less. I'll just go back to the people to see if there is any space where other than treasury where I can think. Equity research is also a space wherein economics plays as important a part in your valuation as, let's say, accounting. But you, at the end of the day, you have to do financial analysis, and you have to do projections, and you have to deal with ratios. Other than that, I think everything, wealth management might be a space wherein accounting might not be that heavy, but again, accounting, number crunching at some point in time has to come into the play if you're looking to go into finance. But economics, again, is something which is relevant in every portion of it. So there are roles which are heavily dependent on economics versus for roles which might not have that heavy reliance on economics. But finance space, you get to use everything. Any other questions?
Yes, I have.
Siddharth, do we have time to take one more?
We can take one more, Amogh. Just last final question.
Sure.
My question is this: that I don't know, I don't know many things about investment banking, but as far as I know, that investment banker deals with merging of companies, like where should we merge the company so that it is more profitable. So I just want to know that does investment banker has one-time job, means how many times will they will merge the company? Once a
No.
year, twice a year? So
No, understood. So understood.
actually
So
do?
let me answer that question. So see, merging of companies is a portion, one aspect of what they do. The entire idea of investment banking is that how to add value, or if you're trying to make inorganic growth, right? What is organic growth versus inorganic growth? Let's say an HUL is there and HUL is in FMCG space. Now HUL wants to go into mobile phone manufacturing. So organic growth is wherein the company says, I am going to set up a division inside the company and I am going to build it from scratch. Now, and then inorganic growth is ki HUL goes and says ki I'm going to go acquire a company like Motorola and I'm going to take over their operations and get into the mobile division that way. Now, at what price should HUL buy Motorola? Right? That is the big question that comes into the fray. So investment bankers are in terms of your acquisitions, in terms of your mergers, if you want to do a stake sale, if you want to raise funds through an IPO, raise funds through bond placement. So anytime you are looking to do what's the word, you want to borrow funds or you want to make a decision in terms of how you should go about making a purchase, a sale, a merging. So there are different aspects to investment banking as to what all they do. So when they get onto a project, it's a 3-4 month project which goes on. So during a day, during a year, you might be involved with, let's say, 4 projects at the most. But it is a space which is continuously evolving, and no company merger or no company stake sale or no company IPO will be the same as the last. Everyone will have different parameters, characteristics of their own, which will come into the frame. So don't think of investment banking as that narrow. It's just all the things that they do, and it's it's the top of finance careers that you can think of.
Is investment banker attached with only one company, or it can have more clients, or just one company?
So it depends on whether you are an in-house investment banker or like an Avendus. It's a investment banking firm. So if you are associated with Avendus, then any projects that come to Avendus can come to you. So you can have as many clients as Avendus does. If you are a in-house investment banker for, let's say, Aditya Birla Group, so you're trying to make decisions for Aditya Birla Group and what they want and what they need. So again, it will depend on with whom you are associated with.
What was the name of the firm?
Avendus is an investment banking firm.
Thank you.
Sir, one final last question. What are some really good books that you may have read that could give a good insight into the work of a finance professional?
See, there are a lot of books out there. If you just Rich Dad Poor Dad, there is one book by, I'm forgetting the name of the individual, but there are books left, right, and center for day in life of a finance person. So just do a Google search, you will get some really good books on that front. So I had like 3-4 books lined up, and I'm not in my home right now. Otherwise, I would have looked and given you the name. I'm just not recollecting the names on the top of my head.
No worries. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Amogh. A big thank you. I mean, it was a wonderful and insightful session. Your presentation was excellent, to the point. And thank you so very much for spending your time on a day off on a Sunday with us, with iASPIRants. And I'm certain that the students have learned a lot from your experience. A particular insight which you mentioned while taking us through the importance of having a watertight resume, which is what I would also like to reiterate. Because when time comes, we all forget to mention a lot of what we hold under our belt, but we shouldn't. It is highly important to project your skills correctly, so that the other person also gets to know you better and gets the opportunity to enhance your skills as well. Because when you enter a career, you work with people who have already been into that career path, and you learn from their experiences, and it would help them understand about your skills, and would help them guide you in a proper way, and would perhaps eventually help in escalating the career stairs, I mean, which you would want to take, or the ladder instead. I very quickly want to add another note, Amogh, and since you are already aware that COVID is making organization things differently, I know for a fact I banked with ICICI. ICICI is thinking very differently after COVID. I mean, a lot of new initiatives have been taken for the customers, so that they do not have to step outside of their home and still get the comfort of banking. So to do things very differently is what most of the organizations are coming up with, and ISBF obviously is no exception, as you know better. And as a token of appreciation, we would just like to extend a thank you voucher from an apparel startup founded by ISBF students. It is called Emacity, and it is a startup that desires to contribute towards living sustainably by enabling responsible consumption in the irresponsible era of fast fashion. Thank you so very much once again. It was wonderful to have you with us, Amogh.
Thank you so much, Siddharth, and a huge thank you to Chirag sir for having me. And it's a great initiative, and I would love to be involved with it, every year, year in, year out. So thank you for the opportunity and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, students. This would conclude the day's proceeding for us today. We'll see all of you on next Saturday, which is July 10th, 2021. We'll be sharing the schedule with you very shortly for the coming weekend. And meanwhile, if any of you would have any questions regarding the coming weekend schedule or the hackathon or the assessment, feel free to drop a line on the WhatsApp group that has been created, and I'll be very happy to answer them for you. Thank you. Have a happy Sunday of whatever is left of it for you all, and please stay safe, take care of yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry, one more thing, guys.
Thank you,
Which is a very important thing and which I forgot. We need to collect your feedback, and I'm just going to put the link into the chat box so that you all can submit your feedback. I'll also later on, put it on the WhatsApp group so that those of you, who have missed on this opportunity, get to submit your feedback again. One second.